Okie dokie, hi, hello, welcome back, Alexandrian Codex. Let's talk about star modifiers. I had a fantastic question earlier today on the mod page asking me if it was intentional that Red Dwarfs gave an evasion and speed modifier of 110%, plus 110%, effectively 210% multiplier. And I didn't know the answer to the question because it had been March of 2018, I think, is when I coded that. So well over 2 years since I wrote it. And I know it could have been a mistake because it's totally understandable that I would mistake multiplier equals 1.1 to mean multiply this by 110. And the multiplication that Paradox uses is additive, not actually multiplicative, meaning that it adds 110% instead of multiplies it by 110%. And that's a common mistake. So maybe it was that. But also, red dwarfs are incredibly low mass compared to other main sequence stars or black holes or whatever else. So if I had made that choice intentionally, it also made sense. The problem is, and the reason I couldn't answer the question, is I didn't keep any notes on it. I changed it, I think, in one night, kind of on a whim, and really just using the scale that Stellaris had. You know, with black holes being at 50% penalty, and then 40, 30, all the way down. So I think the intention was probably just to give red dwarfs a 10% bonus. So I think it was a typo. But it was a typo that, even if it was a typo, had rationale behind it. And the whole issue coming up was, and me having to think about it, was enough incentive to go like, okay, you know what? This isn't logical, it isn't based on anything, or if it was, I don't know it anymore. So I made a new system. I made a new system today. This is the new system. These are the new values that are in play. And they look like this. Why these values? Well, speed, which is the word I'm using in my notes for speed and evasion. FTL, which is what I'm using for FTL minimum day to escape. Disengage chance and wind up time, so FTL charge up time. And shield. Shield I am using for shield reduction. I also have it coded in, you can see here if you're sharp-eyed, that I was playing around with the idea of shield regeneration, and I also played around with having shield reduction actually be a negative value and give shields, which I'm pretty sure was doing some silly things. So for the time being, shields are just a penalty or nothing at all. There are no bonuses. So this part isn't actually true anymore, but that's okay. So where am I getting these numbers from? These numbers are very roughly, speed is deriving from the mass of the object. FTL bonus is deriving from the escape velocity at the Stellaris solar system system limits, so at 500 distance, 500 distance times 0.0606, no, 0606, approximately 30.3 AU. I have a 0.0606 AU astronomical unit, which is roughly the orbit of Earth, or the semi-major axis of Earth, per in-game distance. So roughly 30 AU escape velocity from that center of mass. And then the shield penalty is based off of, for the stars, it's based off of their luminosity. Luminosity is a very good indicator of a star's radiation level. Radiation can be emitted by a lot of different sources. Luminosity, light is radiation. It's a form of radiation. And neutron stars are basically a whole placeholder for pulsars. I use the same values for neutron stars and pulsars because they're very, 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 very similar. And black holes is 100% shield penalty, mostly because of the gravitational stresses on shield emitters, more so than radiation, though. They do... The radiation of a black hole is a lot harder to say what it is or what it isn't, because the magnetosphere around a black hole is generated by the debris, star stuff, turning into plasma as it nears the event horizon of the black hole. So it varies, and it's hard to quantify, so that just got 100%. There are metrics behind all of this. These are radii, mass rounded, average rounded, compared to source, blah, 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 mass again, escape velocity, luminosity. I had to calculate escape velocity for the values that we're using here, so basically this is what we get. I'm just going to fill in this spreadsheet in the off chance that I want to sort by things, and by that I mean I want to sort by things so I can talk through the differences here. Shield penalty. Speed penalty. I can read. We're off to a great start. Speed penalty. Still can't say it right. Black holes have a 70% speed penalty. B-type stars have a 50%. Neutron stars and A-type stars, they have more or less the same mass, which is interesting. 1.4 stellar masses. 30%, 10%. These have all been rounded off to make easier multipliers to put in here. A lot of these were like 13 or 68 or whatever, but I rounded to the nearest tens place just to make it easier and cleaner to put in. It's not, exactly precise, but the fact that I'm having to just say all Class B stars are this, all Class A stars are this, is already imprecise, because the range in like black holes, for example, stellar class black holes can have mass as low as 3 or 5 stellar masses. Really relatively small, smaller than many stars, in fact. And on the high end, they can get up to like 70 solar masses. So that's a big fucking range for the variables that we're talking about here. Even Class B stars have a low end of about 2 solar masses, high end of 16, and those created some values, especially with the lower end of the K and M's here, where having this be on a 0 to 100 or anything like that didn't really make sense. Now, I had the choice, basically. There are 2 ways I could go about this. I could have either all G class stars have no modifiers, or all M class stars have no modifiers. Basically, the difference is with G being the standard bearer, R star being the standard bearer. 1, it makes the math a lot easier. And 2, because we use units like solar masses, solar radii, things like that. 2, it means that there are systems, in fact the majority of systems, because K and M class stars make up the vast majority of stars in-game, as we can see just at a glance here. Red, 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 orange, 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 red, 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 orange, 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 etc. On the whole, setting it for G as a 0 makes the vast majority of systems provide bonuses. If I set it for an M, no systems would provide bonuses. All systems would provide penalties. And personally, especially playing on huge size galaxies, population performance hit aside, it is utterly exhausting for it to take 10 years for a ship to get from here to here. Right? And I know it ends up taking years later on once you get better FTL, but still, that sucks. And the vast majority of that time is not spent in FTL, it's spent just going from one edge of a solar system to the other edge, and then one edge to the other edge, one edge to the other edge. So speeding up speed is the way I decided to go about that. Fun fact, just for context why I was doing this, I calculated approximately what speed means in Stellaris. So speed, a Corvette has a default speed of 160. A battleship has a base speed of 100. And I know that I assigned 0.0606 AU per distance, right? And I know that it's 500 distance from the center of the solar system to the edge of the solar system. So I started out with 3 ships at the center of the solar system, and one to the top, one to the bottom, one to the left. And typically I like to do it with 8 just so they all get there more or less at the same time, average out their arrival times, and that gives us a speed. And we have a speed in days, because in-game days are the way things are measured, right? Though in-game hours are a thing too, and, you know, we're rounding out at the days, roughly. So I have distance and time, that gives me a speed. I clocked in 100 speed would basically be 1,246,649 kilometers per hour. Comparing that to... Oh, sorry, no, that's 100 speed. So 1 speed is equal to 12,466.49 kilometers per hour. You know, give or take. It's probably like 60 or 50. It's probably an even number there. Maybe, or it's a decimal, because I don't know. It's interesting though. Distance basically means in 1 month, one in-game month, this is how far a ship will go. So a distance of 170, that Corvette will go 170 distance in 1 month. So it'll take Corvettes a good 3 months to get from the center of the solar system out to the edge with base tech and no multipliers. That's quite a while. It's quite a while. It's realistic, mind you, but it's a hot fucking minute. So the reason why I was calculating that was to make sure it didn't fuck with relativity, that I wasn't actually multiplying ships to go faster than the speed of light. No, I wasn't. You would have to be so goddamn fast to go faster than the speed of light. So that checks out. Yeah. So now, if anyone asks in the future, why is this? I can blot out the math, and we can talk about it. Now, the real question, and the question that, if really the underlying question that went unvoiced, are these modifiers balanced? Probably not. No, because if we're looking at this, shields will take penalties in black holes, B stars, neutron stars, A-class stars, F-class stars. Now, that kind of sucks. In most systems, you'll take penalties to evasion and speed as well. So, evasion builds are... You know, there are certain systems you really don't want to go into. But none of these modifiers, not a single one of them, impact armor at all. Or armor regen. Or shield regen. But, so... armor is a hell of a lot more reliable, and this is the case in vanilla too. Armor is a hell of a lot more reliable than shields are. And even evasion is... consistently. Now, of course, like I've talked about, and we can take a look at this, actually. Do I have it open over here? I hope I do. Yeah, if I open up star classes for you, which is what I had open, you can see spawn odds right here. Class B stars will not spawn unless they are specifically called for by an initializer. There's only a couple that do that, and by and large, I've switched them out with Class A. Why? Class B stars are so big and so radioactive, there is no chance, no fucking chance, that life could ever evolve around them. None. None. Zero. It happens a lot in fiction because Class B stars are, ooh, they're blue and pretty and big. But seriously, it's very, 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 very unlikely mathematically. So I switch them out with Class A. Class A have a spawn rate of 1. F are 4 times as likely to show up as that. G are 2 times more likely than that. K are 0.5 or 0.04, 1.04 times as likely. Is that how that maths out? Or even more likely than that. Wait, it's 1.5. It is 1.5. 150% is likely. And, you know, 12, 8, 4, 1, you know, it seems kind of sequential, right? Then you get the red dwarves. Spawn odds 77. In this percentile, red dwarves have a 77% chance of spawning if the game is randomly calling for a star. So 77% of the systems that you go into, it's probably less, it's probably closer to 75, just because there's a lot of initializers that call for specific stars. It's probably closer to 75. 75% of systems that you will be in will have a speed and evasion bonus and no penalties. %89. So again, rounding down, it's probably like 87 or 85% of stars will have at least some speed and evasion bonus and no shield penalty. Then if we add G-Class on top of that, we were at 89, now we are at 97. 97, again, knock a few off, call it 95 or 93 or 92% of systems will have no evasion penalties, no shield penalties. Very good. It's literally a tiny percent. You have a 4 plus 1, you have a 5% chance of running into either of these systems that are randomly generated, or if they're specifically called for by an initializer, then you'll get a neutron star or a black hole. But the likelihood of running into those is very, very low with this mod. Unless, like this, they're specifically called for by a initializer. Which means basically those systems always spawn. And what I fuck around with mostly are the miscellaneous spawners. So yeah, by and large, this is just a buff across the board. And if, you know, maybe it isn't balanced. Maybe the right approach would have been balancing it around the assumption that a star is going to be a Class M dwarf, and everything else gets a speed penalty, and everything else gets a shield penalty. But again, the game runs slow enough as is. I'd rather just give a bonus in the vast majority of systems than a penalty in everything else. So I think that rationale holds. I think that rationale makes sense. If, you know, you disagree, if you have some thoughts on it, I'd love to hear it, because obviously I'm just one designer with one brain, and I'd love input. To be fair, the question being asked does have a lot of validity. We can.
Situation log has been updated.
Survey. What are my Corvettes called here? Crazy Horse class. Okay. All right, there, champ. So this is a Class G. This is a Class M. Crazy Horse. Okay. This is a... Give me a black hole. Give me a black hole. Give me a black hole. Give me something slightly different. This is an A class? Small enough to be... No, it's a pulsar. Oh, neat. Okay, and then I'll unpause and we can get a demonstration here. So... Would it take a day? Ah, there it is. So we can see here in a Class A system, no shields. And you can see if you pull up a ship, the penalties. Speed is down to 112, evasion's down to 42, damage is unaffected, Armor's unaffected, hull points are unaffected. We hop over to... And we can really look, if you look at the military power. Your military power will vary drastically dependent on where you are keeping your ships hanging out. So if you start as Earth, which I do, you are getting no bonuses. If a random empire starts around a class M star, their ships are going to seem twice as strong as yours are. They're not, but the AI will make decisions based off of that. That has resulted in playtesting, in my experience, with the AI starting some wars that they, you know, can't actually cash out once our fleets actually meet in a system. And, you know, that's unfortunate that the AI thinks that way, and that's probably why Paradox doesn't have all stars having bonuses and only the vast minority having penalties, because the AI needs to be able to make fleet comparisons, but, you know, fuck it. It's a price for something cool, and I like the cool factor more than I like designing things around bad AI, so, yeah. But I wanna, here, you go in orbit of your star. You go in orbit of your star. You go in orbit of that star. Okay, so it is the 0, 1, 11. That's when we're gonna start this. This is a proof of concept. So again, it's approximately 500 distance from the center to the edge. Give or take. I mean, not always on random systems like this. I can't guarantee that that's their distance, but this indicates where I'm allowed to click, and that's about at 500. As you can see, the little white arrows actually line is letting me click, whereas here it isn't. It isn't. The game's like, no, this is as far as you can go. Whereas over here, oh yeah, fuck yeah, you can keep going. And then, sure, we'll go ahead and unpause and see who gets to the edge first. My money's on this one. Cool, thanks. Yeah. Now granted, I think this system's smaller, but it did that in, what, a month and 9 days? Yeah, it did that in 39 days. You got a ways to go. You got 51 days. You have 32 days. And you still have, you know, a couple weeks left until you get to the edge of your system. So, that's the kind of measurable impact that these modifiers are making. Class M systems are way faster to go through. Way faster to go through. And not in like a, you know, academic, statistical, this is kind of interesting kind of way, but in a real meaningful, this will drastically affect your gameplay kind of way. If you have a long line of red class dwarves, that's basically a highway from one end of your empire to the other before you get gates or wormholes or whatever else. That's a great way to just nume from one end to the other. But if you are in, say, the galactic core is spawned by various mods, or you're in an area with a lot of black holes or class B planets, or stars, I should say, you're gonna go slow. Your response time through and around those systems is gonna be slow. Here's something else we can look at. So they're all at the edge of the system, right? So moving from Rochelle over to... Oh, well, let's move you over there. Let's make sure this is a fair bet. Alright, you want to jump from there approximately. You're going to go to Barnard Star, you're going to go to there, and you're going to go to hell, because it'll take too long for you to get in position. Jesus Christ, this one's already there. I mean, it was pretty close, okay? Yeah, then the 2 Sol system, and any day now. There we go. Okay, so we're starting on 6/21. Your ETA is 62 days to make a jump that you don't have to move for. Your ETA is 67 days to make a jump you do have to move. Don't have to move for. Interesting. I didn't guess that. You are going to Barnard Star, which is 39 days. You are 58 days. Who's gonna jump first? I think you're gonna jump first. Yeah. Yeah. So even though the arrival time was estimated as this one arriving first and this one arriving significantly late. Oh, because it has to cross the star. Right. Just for the jump, we see the one jumping from the Class M planet. Star. They're stars, Alex. They're not planets. Listen, it's getting late. I've been at this for a while. It's been a long day. I can make mistakes. Even jumping out of a red dwarf is way faster than jumping out of anything else. So yeah. I like the changes. Obviously, I made them. I like how they impact gameplay and how much they smooth out gameplay. But if for whatever reason the game just doesn't last long enough for you, I can understand this being a point of contention. But, you know, I've talked about this for nearly half an hour over some kind of boring numbers, but very impactful. So yeah, that's... God, that's not all I've done over the last few days. I'm gonna push this as a patch today. So let's take a look at what else I've done. It's quite a bit, and I didn't make notes for all of it, to be honest. Habitable zone planets can have 1 moon max. I adjusted the smallest Sol system planets. That's right. And their orbits a little bit. I tightened these orbits up a little bit, just so the game's error log would quit screaming at me that the system's too big. I know you think it's too big, but it still spawns. Daddy knows best, but no, I fixed that. So now Neptune, Pluto, and Orcus are very, very tight. If we go to observe, we can see. I got a new skin for Charon, right? Yeah, I updated a few skins for Charon, Mimas, Proteus, Ceres, Tethys, and Dione. I could have gone through and updated a bunch of other ones with not necessarily entirely new maps. This is bad, I know, but seriously, we only have like one good angle of this fucking moon. More color correction is what I went through and did. I didn't cut any moons. I almost added in 4 new objects, but they're not even moon sized. They don't even have the ability to retain a circular shape, so a spherical shape. Circular, you'd have to be under some crazy pressures there. Yeah, and then I applied that whole 0.0606 AU per distance to various real-world systems that I had, like all of these have been rescaled. It's really not that noticeable. It's mostly just for my own sake that I did it, because I nitpicked that much. Trappist was also brought up today. It's different, I promise you it's different from Stellaris. Because it doesn't look different doesn't mean it's not different. These orbits are like 1/10 of what they are by base Stellaris. Stellaris wants you to believe the TRAPPIST system is something like this size. Nah, dog. It's a Class M star. They're not very massive. If they have planets, they're in very close or not at all. And I changed around the planet types. This, for example, is toxic in Paradoxes. This is Savannah or something, and this is Continental. But new estimates and new metrics on the TRAPPIST system since the system was first announced, which is when it was included in Paradox, in Stellaris has suggested that this is probably the most habitable, this is probably too cold, this is probably too cold. But I kept them in as, you know, vaguely habitable because it fits the theme and the feel of it. So, okay, now for real, I'm gonna shut up. What else did I do? I don't remember, and I didn't take notes on it, and they're really... Oh, no, actually, there's a really important one in here, and I'm gonna keep changing it, and I'm not gonna tell you every time I change it, because I'm not sure if I'm happy about it or not. But, you know, it warrants talking about it, rather than not talking about it. It's not in there. It's not in there, it's in static. It's in... static modifiers. Number 0? Jesus, no, which one is it? Who dat? You. Common. Scripted variables. It's not static at all. Scripted variables. Then we pull open the original scripted variables. I know me saying something like scripted variables is, time for a nap is very resident sleeper, but, you know, just bear with me. It's pretty important. Scripted variables has planet variables in it. This used to just be in the planet files, and used to be in all of them. So here, at a quick glance, you can look at the differences between vanilla and my mod. My planets are an 11th of the size scaled that Stellaris' are. Habitable planets can only be size 22 max. All rocky planets use that as well. They have to be at least 11. That's toned down just a little bit from base Stellaris. It's done for 2 reasons. 1, it fits my scale. 2, performance reasons. Anyway, I can slightly cut down on the number of pops in game. I'm fucking taking it. The amount of mods, the amount of fucking power creep mods, like, Legendary Planets, I'm playing with it, but, or Legendary Worlds, 1 to 2, busted as fuck. Sometimes it'll be like, yeah, this is a size 60 planet. No, gigastructural engineering completely ruins performance with the gigastructures and how many fucking pops you can fit on there. It's not their fault. They're great mods. They're great ideas. It's really cool shit. But the changes that they made to Stellaris, Paradox made to Stellaris, and introducing the pop system has made large habitable planets or large installations like awful for game performance. They are the worst thing you can do. It's just such a shame. So I'm looking forward to the new patch and the changes that have been talked about there, i.e. cutting population in half, which won't fix the problem entirely, but is a good step in the right direction. Habitable moon size reduce, not really important. Habitable minimum distance, maximum distance, I've talked about this. Again, we have a range of 17 now versus a range of 40 previously. This is what I was saying I wasn't going to talk about, but I decided to talk about. Habitable spawn odds. Habitable spawn odds, I play around with this value a lot. And I think I'm going to leave it at 0.1, a fifth of what base Stellaris is. Habitable spawn odds, I have no idea what the fuck it does. Exactly. I know approximately what it does. It looks at, is this planet within this range, 60 to 100? If so, can it be changed to a habitable type? If yes, then change it to a habitable type, I think. But even when I've had this at 1, which should mean 100% of planets that can be habitable are habitable, it doesn't make 100% planets that can be habitable. So I don't know what it does. Maybe it's odds of like 0 to 100? Maybe? I don't fucking know. This is probably something I could just Google. Sure, why not? Habitable spawn odds. Probably wrong, but a planet can't be colonized if it has anomalies, so maybe habitable spawn odds alters planets with anomalies. Nope, you're wrong. I know it doesn't work that way. I'm positive it doesn't work that way. Yeah, planetary diversity. It used to be habitable spawn odds was set at 1 when Stellaris first came out, and I had changed it to 0.5, and then they adopted my change. Not because I made it. Probably they didn't look at my mod at all. They probably had the same rationale I did of, wow, there's way too many fucking planets that you can live on. Yeah, even the wiki is like, I don't know, n divided by 1? We think 1 is the largest this value can go, so I'm not alone in being like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. Is this a valid item? Is it not? I don't know. And, you know, looking at the number of habitable planets we have with 0.1, I'm happy with it. You can get big expanses of a whole lot of nothing. Well, even not really. Even this is, like, bordering on too many fucking habitable planets for my taste. And I have, in the spawn, it down to 1/4 of the multiplier on this. So it could be that this is 0.025, because what I'm talking about is these are all modded, so they're not loading properly. You're not modded. This. Habitable worlds. This is a modifier in the chance of a planet in the Goldilocks zone of a solar system being habitable. The Goldilocks zone... So I think I'm right about this, but the fact that they don't let this value drop below 0.25 means I don't know if this 0.25 replaces the 0.1 that I introduced there. If so, there's no way to reduce this lower than 0.25, which is the sense that I get, or if this is a multiplier and a multiplier. I have no fucking idea how this works. And I really wish I did, because this is really impactful for me trying to decide and tell if the changes I'm making are actually changing things or not. I have no idea. So if you know, God bless you, tell me. Damn it. If you don't, well, you know, we're all in the same fucking boat together. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. Really just... nothing to do with the solar system itself, a little bit to do with that, but mostly just trying to make my star system generator work. And like, if I'm being real with you, if we can be real here, I think it's still too generous. I think it's still too generous, and I talked about last time my calculations with the habitable zone based off of... Oh god, I don't even know where I did that. No, I didn't do it in here. It's all in my notebook. Of course it is. Why can't I just keep my notes in one place? Talking about where the habitable zone should be, if that's too big, if that's too small. You know what? I think it's too big. I think it's too fucking big. Where are my notes? Where are my notes? No, those are luminosity notes from today. Ah. Here are my notes. You can't see it. I know you can't see it. I'm gonna look at OBS, but I'm positive that this just gets completely washed out, right? Yeah. You know, not completely. Not if we do it like that, but it's probably reversed, so this looks real weird. Yeah, so 3 to 20 is me being generous. 4 to 13 is actually the average. What did I set it as? 3 to 20. Oh, right, because I have this whole sliding scale of dry can be this, wet can be this, cold can be this. And I still think it's too fucking big. I kind of want to reduce it from 4 to 13. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Let's take a look at that together. I wish so much that this game had a fucking ledger in it, so I could just pop that open and see number of habitable planets. It looks like a lot to me. if I'm being real, looks like a whole lot. Fuck. No, I'm not changing this right now. This is something I will probably fidget with in the future. And the reason I'm not fucking with this right now, we can see demonstrated, I think, right here. Yeah, this is why. If I change the habitable zone, no moons around gas giants will ever be habitable if I reduce it anymore. What it's set at right now, these can never spawn in any closer than they already are. And we'll go ahead and take a look at that. I wanted this to be succinct, but fuck it. Let's just keep talking. What do I want? Soul system initializers. Let's go to miscellaneous system initializers. Miscellaneous system initializers is basically this basic one is basically my test bed for when I make changes. So gas giants spawn at a minimum of 16. So 16 distance plus 2 is 18 for one habitable planet and 2 for one inner planet. There's like a 50% chance that there's only one inner zone. And then half of that, so down to a 25% chance that there's only one habitable zone. And then half of that for their... Oh, well, gas giant doesn't matter. So you have, what, a 50, 25% chance. And then this still needs to be a minimum of 16 distance for it to be the right distance away, 20, to be habitable. I'm not comfortable making this any smaller than 16. Honestly, 16 is already pushing it. So, if anything, I would just move up the size of the habitable from 4 to 20. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that's a really small change, Alex. That's a totally reasonable change. And then we'll have to change the math on the other things, but, like, that's okay. So dry would be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Dry wet would be 9. 10, I guess. I don't love that. Wet would be 11, 12, 13, 14. Cold wet would be 15, 16. Cold would be 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's not right is what that is. I had a ratio of 5 dry, 4 wet, 5 cold, 2 dry wet, 2 wet cold, which mathed out right. But if I take one of those out, this makes it... it fucks with the math, and I hate it. 17 was a happy number. Somehow. Even though I got 18 total out of that. Because it is 18. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah. Frick. The 1920s. Yeah, you know, yeah, I was getting there. Three to 4 is generous. If I move it up to 5, it's much closer to vanilla. That isn't really that representative of K-type and M-type stars. They can have, I mean, their habitable range is like 1 to 13 or 2 to 4, and I really wish I could have this vary by star class. I really do. Because with G-type, it's probably 9 to 20, so even 5 would be... Yeah... 5 would be okay, but then I'd want to take one from each end, and I can't really do that without reducing gas giant by 1, and I don't want to go through and change all of these fucking things all over again. I want to leave this spawn system as it is, so I can't change the 20. Yeah, so if it's 5 to 20, dry would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? And then wet would be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Cold would be 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then we have one floater. Fuck that. I hate that. Okay. So 10 would be dry, cold, shared. $15 would be cold, wet, shared? Or, dry, wet, shared, cold, wet, shared. 20. So that's 5, 1, 4, 1, 5. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. This works with a 5, 2, 4, 2, 5 because the 2 can go either way. Right, the dry wet can be either dry or wet. And I just split those up 50-50 because this is either 6, 6, or 6. Yeah. Yeah, no, I guess that does work. No, that works. That works. It's just much tighter than I have right now, but you know what? Who gives a shit? That's fine. Habitable min. Oh, God, you don't even change that here. Okay, yeah. Let's boost up to 5 and then comment out the 3. In case you want to roll back changes, just commenting out what you're getting rid of rather than just deleting it is a good call. That way you can go back and look at, oh, what was this before? So comment that out. It's 5 now. Dry habitable max distance is 10 now. Temperate habitable minimum is 10 now. Temperate habitable max distance is still 15. Is that right? Yeah. And then cold habitable is 14. Nope. It is 15 to 20. So that's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Temperate is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Dry is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. Yeah, all of those are 6. Great. 10 competes and 15 competes, so this is actually skewed away from making continental, oceanic, and tropical planets statistically, if all things are equal, but that's okay. That's okay. We don't need to fret too much about that. What that does, hopefully, functionally, is reduces the number of planets by 1/10? Ish? I mean, what? The range was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 18, and we reduced that to 16, which is less than 1/10, more than 1/10. Like 12%. Math! It's a little more than 10% difference. So, in theory, having saved, we should exit to desktop, open up video game, click play button, wait for game to load the launcher, which is honestly one of the longest parts of this process. It's like, oh yes, Let me make sure you have an internet connection, that you have signed in your Paradox account. Just spinning that wheel. Spinning the... I do this a bit too much to maintain any semblance of sanity. Alright, well, at least that part was fast. Launch. 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 1, 5, 6, 8, 9. I'm not counting it. We should see a few fewer planets. I like planets. I like star systems full of planets. Love it. What I don't like are habitable worlds everywhere. Because they're not, probably. Habitable zones are really small compared to all the possible orbits of planets around stars. And to be fair, you know, the stars represented in Stellaris could be, you know, not necessarily representative of the whole, right? It could just be that these are noteworthy systems connected by this hyperlane network, and that, you know, as we're seeing in the background, there are hundreds, and by that I mean billions, of other stars that we never go to because there's nothing interesting there. That's one possible interpretation. But, you know, personally, I like the, okay, this seems like a noticeably lower number to me. Me do like, though. This is still a healthy number of planets. And again, this is a times 0.25, so... You got some moons? Yeah, you got some moons. Got quite a few, in fact. Good for you. Tropical, Arctic. Hell yeah, dude. How are you this far out? This is not one I generated, no. This is an event. This can't possibly be 20 distance. Shit like this happens that makes me really question what the mod's doing, so... This isn't the mod at work. This is Stellaris at work. I know this is Stellaris at work because of the asteroid belts. This is using an initializer that I don't fuck with, because the belts are oddly specific, and all I did was go in and add the ability to have moons, and you can tell I didn't do that very much because of the massive distance between moons here, or the moon orbits. That ain't Falco. So that must be something I haven't touched. This is me. Yeah. So you got your outer system here. This is the habitable zone. This should be where it happens. I think I've talked about this before. I have no control over moons being larger than planets sometimes. I could make it so that planets literally can't be smaller than moons, but they can. In reality, it's just Stellaris randomly generating weird shit. Oh, that initializer doesn't have two worlds have a maximum size of 22. Ha. Yeah, I didn't go through with the all the initializers since first updating the mod. I want to get to a point where I'm actually happy with the way that miscellaneous systems are generating before copying and pasting variants of that code to literally every star in the game. 'Cause there's a lot of fucking files, dog. There's a lot of fucking systems to go over, and yeah, I don't wanna. Yeah, you know what? I'm alright with this. Yeah, I'm glad I tweaked those changes. I feel like I'm seeing a noticeable difference, that or I'm just getting confirmation bias, and you know what? If I am, I'll fucking take it. I will absolutely take it. So that's it. Yeah. What did we talk about today? A lot of stuff. Did you need to hear any of it? No, but it helps to talk through it for me to process the rationale that I have. When will I be playing something else? Fuck, man, I don't know. Honestly, for the vast majority of the day today, I had the undying urge of I want to play something different, but then ended up not playing anything all day and just feeling like, oh, I want to play something, but I don't know what I want to play, but I don't want to play this, I don't want to play that, I don't know. Oh, actually, and then people were commenting, one person commented on my mod page, and I was in a shitty mood, and was like, here's your answers. Please, no me. No, it's, well, no, shit. This I need to fuck with, too. This is, whoa, I haven't fucked it with, scripted variables habitable. Fictional systems, you might have been causing some problems, my friend. Really? Oh, okay, interesting. You know, let's copy all this. Paste all that. Yeah, I didn't roll out the massive soul system changes to you. Interesting. Well, I'm glad that I went and checked that. Why do I have planet classes defined in this? I should just tell people to play my fucking mod. I mean, I do, but I don't trust people to play my mod, so there you go. All these. Oh, no, right control tab doesn't work here. Get rid of that. Save. Good enough. Get rid of that. Save. Alex, why are you getting rid of that? Because if it's not in these files, if the @habitable or @whatever reference, then it will just go to reference the scripted variables file. So rather than me keeping 18 fucking copies of that, it's a lot nicer if I don't have to. Let me go to, no, not that one, this one, that one, this one. Make sure all these are up to, they're not up to date because I just changed the date. Yeah, that do be how that works. Okay, copy. Planetary diversity, this isn't that big of a change. Do I need spawn odds in here? No. Yeah. No, because this never calls for spawn odds. Nah. It doesn't even call for habitable distance. Oh, yeah, it does. Calls for habitable distance. This should be redundant. The only reason... The way the planetary diversity works is that planetary diversity waits until after stars and their planets are already generated, and then changes classes after the fact with its new classes, which is a great system, by the way. Very cool, very smart. 10 out of 10. I don't think it's always worked that way, but to my knowledge, that's how it currently works. Okay, sweet. Alex, why were you doing all that? Because I want to update all of my mods. Steam Workshop. Paradox mods, who uses that? Not me. Not me, dog. Not me. Should I? Yeah, but it's already annoying enough keeping track of... Fuck, what's the date? 22nd. Oh my god. Time is just flying by. And god, I have to write up a change log. Just post the link to this video. Would you change? Just listen to me talk on YouTube for an hour about nothing. There's your answer. It wasn't a helpful answer at all. Yeah, well, we changed some shit. Okay, cool. Now it's all updated, patched. I'm finally putting in a cut here. I'm gonna go do something not Stellaris related, which probably means like watching Babylon 5, which is great, by the way. Trying to come up with something else to do and then playing Stellaris anyway. So until later, I'm gonna say toodaloo. Take care. I will see you then. Bye-bye.